Hello and welcome to NHL Best Bets. Last night we had two picks, not so great results this time. San Jose visited the Staples Center in Los Angeles and they were clearly better team this time. They won 3-0 the game, and especially the goalie Martin Jones played very well. And LA Kings forwards didn't play so well because they had quite a few chances to score, especially in front of the goal, but they just couldn't show the puck in. 30 shots by the Kings, and like I said, Martin Jones saved every single of those. Then St. Louis, Colorado, the game was going clearly over. It was 3-2 after second period, but then for whatever reason either of team couldn't score in third period, and it went under, so 5 goals instead of 6 or more. And there I think I counted 7 pipes in this game, so I think the pick was good but result was bad. Or what do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I hate these red colors, of course, but yeah, both picks I think were decent. We would have to have Los Angeles Kings playing better in front of the net, like you mentioned. They did very lousy in the offense, of course, scoring no goals at all against San Jose. Not a very good performance by the Kings. And then again, San Jose played like they did a couple of seasons ago, so they were really good defensively. Of course, a couple of chances for the Kings, but they were very productive in the offense and managed to score from their chances that were not so many in the game, but 3 goals. A good win for San Jose and bad pick from us, but I think Kings will bounce back tonight. And like you mentioned, Colorado, St. Louis, I think the game was exactly as we predicted. Colorado just did not want to score or couldn't score, so they could have scored a couple of more. We did predict that the score would be somewhere around 5-2, 4-2. Wouldn't have been a big injustice if Colorado had scored the goal in the empty net or maybe one of the power plays. But this time, just 3-2 win, good win for Colorado. I do think that it was a bit of a letdown from their offense on our part, but a good game overall. And Blues played pretty well defensively. They did not allow that many chances. So they have something going on. So I hope that Blues will show a little bit more in the offense next time around, so they are still capable of challenging Colorado and Vegas in that Western Division.
Last night there weren't too many surprises in these matches. How our simulations performed?
Yeah, we were 50-50 in the side value point of view. So we had Washington beating New Jersey, also Edmonton winning in Calgary, and in Edmonton actually. And then we had this St. Louis, Colorado for Colorado. So 50-50, but side value minus 111 only. So no profits there. But like you said, favorites won. So money line plus 236. So something that this season we've seen and we've been very good at. Money line picks plus 236. So only one game was incorrect from that point of view. So 50-50 in every regard this night.
Yeah, and some of these games were pretty tight. Like I said, Toronto won Winnipeg in shootout. Yesterday we discussed a little bit the totals, and Hellenbach and Campbell both played very well. So the under was the correct pick here, and it was good that we didn't pick the over as Machine suggested, but the game was more defensive battle this time.
Yeah, it was very much of a playoff-like contest between these two teams that are probably going to meet at some point in the playoffs, maybe even the divisional final. So it was prelogue to that sort of a matchup between these two teams that are offense heavy but are capable of shutting each other down. So very interesting game, and we'll see more of these in the future.
And then Arizona Anaheim game. Two maybe not so good teams, and Arizona pulled 4-2 victory. So Anaheim has struggled throughout the season and is dead last in the West Division. Do you think they need to do some changes during the season, or are they still thinking that this kind of rebuilding will create some results in long run?
Yeah, I think they are on their way. So there is probably not much to change because there is not a simple solution to this. I think they will continue the way that they are doing. Maybe there is some trade bait there in their team, but not expected to do a lot of changes. Arizona played a lot better in this game and deserved their victory. And I do think that if you compare these two teams, Arizona is in better place. A lot of similar kind of a rebuilding process going on. Arizona does not have a lot of veteran presence like Anaheim does have. Ryan Getzlaf, Jonathan Gibson, a couple of older guys there, but I do think that at this rate, Anaheim will be rebuilding for some time.
Yeah, I think from the California teams, all of them are struggling, but based on recent performance, like you said, San Jose maybe can find the old stride and pull some kind of fight for the playoff spot together with Arizona and maybe St. Louis or Minnesota that we predicted to take the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. I do think that San Jose has the potential, like we've seen a couple of times this season already, that they can beat these better teams, but they are yet to find their balance and the sort of solidity to their game. So one day they are showing up and the other one they're not. So they need to pick up their game like they have now for the past 3 games. They won all of them. So let's see if they can actually put up a challenge.
And a challenge for San Jose continues tonight, like you said, in LA. But for whatever reason, we are not picking that game, and we have a few others here. For the Easter's special, we pick few underdogs here, and especially road underdogs that some of the bettors usually stay away. But we think Chicago visiting Nashville will have good chance there. Nashville has found their game recently, but previous game against Dallas was some kind of letdown for them, and they lost 4-1. They may have some injuries there in a center position, but Blackhawks hopefully will have our boy Kevin Lankinen in goalie, and they can return back to the winning column after losing very tight game against Carolina. And they for sure remember that Nashville won them at home in Chicago twice earlier this week. So payback time for Blackhawks. And then other game, Minnesota continues their trip in Vegas. Hopefully they haven't spent too much time in casinos, but are ready to repeat what they did 2 nights ago when they won Vegas 3-2. Vegas has been a little bit up and down. They are a good team, but some evenings or some nights they are not performing as many of us expect. And tonight looks to be that kind of game that underdog have good chances to upset the favorite at home. I think if you are speaking, your microphone is in mute.
Okay, let's try again. There was a bell ringing, so I shut it off. Yeah, so this time around there is great value in both of these picks. So we always do pick for the value, but this time huge profits to be made. I do think that Chicago Nashville game will be a lot of a coin flip. Like in the simulations, we have 54% for Chicago at Tennessee. So very good value as the odds were plus 100 and something. So a great pick. Very even teams. Both have struggled a bit. Nashville found their way after a horrible start of the season. I think they won 8 out of 10 last games. So it's a good team, but they have had their issues. And I think Chicago has exactly what it's needed to stop that Predators offense. And therefore, Kevin Lankinen probably in the net will stop that not so productive Predators here. Chicago does need to be more productive and convert their goal scoring chances a bit better, like they did early on the season. They've been lacking in that department a little bit, but a great value for a home a road underdog here. And then in Vegas, a bit similar situation. Of course, Vegas is a very strong team. Minnesota is in for this sort of a statement game again, because nobody believed in the beginning of season that they have any chance. They were off with the corona for a while, and now they have lost 2 out of their last 3 games against San Jose twice. So now they are looking to bounce back from that. They did already beat Vegas once after the shootout in Vegas. So very tight, very close game, and massive odds for Winnipeg. This was surprising to see that the odds go so far as to plus 150 for the Wild. In simulations, 46% for the visitors, which is a remarkable value again. And this is something that is a bit of a risky pick, but I do think that with this value, worth a shot for the Wild.
Yeah, I think Wild have a possibility to upset here the home team. Even Vegas have struggled a bit, and usually they haven't lost so many games in a row. Now I think they have lost twice at home in a row, first against Kings and then in shootout, like you said, against Minnesota in the previous game. So they are ready to play for sure, but if the odds are plus 145, usually it's worth to take this kind of bet in the even games.
Yeah, this is what the simulators will be thinking, is exactly the thing, that when you have a coin flip and you have odds of plus 140, we always gonna pick that game.
How about any other games? We have a long list of games tonight, starting already in a few hours. In early games between Pittsburgh and Boston in Boston. Do you think that's worth to bet for the road team, as Pittsburgh have won now 5 in a row? Will they take 6th one?
Penguins have played a lot better than they did early in the season, so I hats off to them. But Boston needs to play better. So Boston has not been as good as they usually are. I do think that this time they lost the first issue. I think this time they will bounce back and be a very difficult team to beat. However, the simulations do have Pittsburgh winning 54% of the games, and they do have positive odds, so plus 107 at the moment. So there is value for the road team here. We stay away from this one because I still find Pittsburgh a little bit shaky at times. They have their issues with injuries and maybe some problems as well in their playing style against Boston. They have not won many games in Boston. I think before the last victory, it was a couple of years back since they had gone to Massachusetts and taken the points.
Then we have 3 games with the big favorites here, have some minor value. Tampa Bay at home against Detroit, one of the best teams against one of the worst teams in NHL. And then New York Rangers on the road against Buffalo, that won 1 game but has lost, I think, 16 out of last 17 games. So not any kind of a great home team there either. And the third one, a repetition from last night, Colorado has over 72% win probability against St. Louis. So do you think parlaying these 3 games would bring some good money for you?
I think the parlays are always too risky to do, especially with odds like this. So there is of course value for these big favorites here, but I don't think that it's worth putting them in the same, because if you miss one, you're gonna miss out on all of it. So very careful with these odds. Minus 358 for Tampa, minus 257 for Rangers, and minus 200 for Colorado. So it's not that probable for them all to win. Of course, single games, according to the simulation, all of these teams have value. So pick one, but not all.
Any good total bets out of these, I think, 10 games what we have in tonight's schedule?
Yeah, we have a couple of remarkably high numbers here. In the North Division, Montreal is hosting Ottawa. In that game, we predict Ottawa to score 1.6 goals only and Montreal 2.6. So it is a clear under. The line is at 5.5 at the moment. It's almost 80% of the simulations that go under that line. So there is a good value. It is, of course, always a little bit of question, how will Ottawa survive these games? They have been in the survival mode for quite some time. If they manage to box out and keep their defense intact, it might be a close game, 3-1 for Montreal or something like this. But if they collapse, if there is not a proper goaltender on goal, it can be 9-1 or something like this. So a little bit of a risk, but neither team very big scoring team. So good under there.
Yeah, and it's in these clear unders also good to check always the odds, what kind of numbers bookmakers provide, because even though our simulation show clear value for some line, it could be that the bookmakers have thought the same way, and then they just keep the line but push down the numbers. And I think right now I've seen for the under 5.5 goals, it's plus 125, so not very good odds, but still worth the bet if you think Carey Price and Philip Gustafsson are the men in the goal.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and there's been a trend of the bookmakers lowering the lines remarkably. So early in the season, we did see a lot of 6 goals, a lot of 6.5 goal lines. Now there is no 6 goal lines. There is 5.5, and even some games have closer to evens 5.0. So we are definitely going down in the lines, as it has been the trend in the results. So the odds makers a little bit later than us reacting to these things, which is of course good because we got great results from those unders before this. But let's see how it goes now. Maybe at some point it'll turn to the way that it will be more profitable to bet on the overs if the lines keep dropping and maybe the team starts scoring a little bit more as well.
Let's see how the totals go tonight, but first and foremost we cheer for the few road upsets in Las Vegas and also in Nashville. So we'll see tomorrow how our picks performed.
See you tomorrow.